What is it you want, Barry? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Come with me if you want to live.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
The Force will be with you, always.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 20th Century Geek. I'm your regular host, Scott Weatherly, and we are still chuckling along on our Chucky retrospective. And today I'm joined once again by Jack to do Curse of Chucky. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, I know this was, finding some time to fit this in and watch this so we can talk again. I'm always glad to talk to you as well. And I was listening to you and Dave yesterday, actually, talk about Seed. And Dave lamenting the movies that he's ended up with, Chucky 3 and Seed, whereas I've ended up with Bride and Curse. So I feel like if Dave's got the rough end of the stick, I've definitely got the smooth. I don't know, my brain was desperately trying to come up with some clever Chucky plasticky pun, but it didn't. It gave up halfway through. So
no,
yeah, I feel like I've really lucked out with the movies I've got to cover.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, you've definitely looked out. I mean, as a franchise, it definitely sort of goes up and down. I mean, tonally, we're now into like the third phase of the Chucky franchise, but it's oddly carrying everything else on its back. Like it'll acknowledge, everything. There's one of these things, and I said it with Dave. Like this franchise, consistently written by Don Mancini and in this case directed by Don Mancini. Like it's that thing of like no, good, bad, or ugly. Everything happened, and we're not writing anything off. And I kind of respect it for that.
Yeah, I think it's really honourable, and I think we'll get there. So I won't jump too far ahead, whatever. So I think it really works come the kind of middle of this movie, and we get we get the classic Google. It really works there. Obviously, this will be in an hour's time when we discuss this. I'm not sure it works so well when we get to the three endings.
Yes, I think it's carrying a bit too much at the end.
Yeah.
I think as it starts, it's playing a different tone. Let's just go quickly on the plot. After her mother's mysterious death, Nika begins to suspect that Chucky may be the key to recent bloodshed and chaos. That kind of hides a lot of things, but we do have daughter of Chucky, Brad Dourif, Fiona Dourif, coming in to play Nika, being joined by Chantal Quinzel as her sister Sarah, as the babysitter Sarah, sorry, and then Jordan.
I think Sarah's the mum, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. You're right. Danielle
and Barb's the sister.
Basutti as Barb. Yeah, A. Martini as Father Frank. I mean, these are no people you've met. I mean, let's be clear. No. This isn't an A-list cast. I think only Fiona Dourif has really is any of note because of her other things she did in some horror credentials, and she remains in the franchise going forward. One thing that's interesting about this is the tone. And I said we'll get into it. We've had Bride, which enjoyed the camp, and then Seed, which exploded with the camp. This is going to go back to almost like a bottle episode of a TV show. This is all set within a house, and it's a family coming back together for a tragedy. And so when Mum Sarah is killed after receiving a Chucky doll in the post, Nika, her sister, her husband, her sister's husband, and so all the kids and all this thing all come together into a single location, and then it's almost kind of like a murder mystery, but not.
I think that's fair. It's kind of like almost at times feels like Amityville Horror or The Conjuring or something like that. It has almost kind of like a haunted house feel.
It does.
At times it feels like a slasher. It kind of plays with genre. I think this one more. It decides it's kind of almost like throwing different things and seeing what sticks. And maybe that's Mancini's idea was I've done this, I've done that. Where can I push this franchise to next? And it sort of plays with a couple of different things, isn't it? But definitely murder mystery for sure.
Well, one of the things I thought that was interesting you were on the episode. This obviously going back to the very first film and the very first episode. Speaking when I was with Mike, is this follows the timing of the first film very closely.
Mm.
I mean, this ties into the first film. I mean, this is we'll talk about the end of the sort of the flashback element, but
Mhm.
in the first film, the whole first half of the film, there is a kind of almost a murder mystery. Like it's
Mm.
there's the element of, is it Andy that's doing the killers, or is it Chucky? And there's it's obvious as a viewer it is Chucky, but the reveal of Chucky doesn't come till halfway through, and that's exactly like this film. Like you get bits and pieces with the rat poison and stuff, but the reveal of Chucky to Barb is
Yeah.
exactly at the halfway point, and that's when after
Mhm.
that it's like, oh, now we can enter into the fun and games and stuff. So as you say, I think this is definitely playing with all of those genre things that it's done in the past films, but then adding on top of that. So I think you're right. The haunted house, the house is very stylistic. It's got like
Mm.
storms are going on and all kinds of bits and
Mm.
pieces. So
It's almost like something out of a Tim Burton movie, or
yeah.
or a movie that would have inspired Tim Burton for sure. Like was it Grand Guignol, and kind of expressionism,
Mm.
and some of the angles Mancini does, and the use of lighting is all very in that kind of gothic horror world, I suppose, as well, to be a bit reductive, but in that world too.
Yeah, I think this is one of the fun things about sort of the almost like the Chucky franchise and Don Mancini is because it's his franchise, because he's
Hmm.
done all
Hmm.
this stuff, he kind of gets to do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
So he gets to experiment, and you know, you can see he's gone, oh yeah, we want to lean into this, and it can be silly or it can be this, where
Mm.
it's a bit more serious. But
Mm.
like you say, he can do the experiments with like, oh, the way this is shot, or the way that we're going to light it, or the use of practical versus CGI and that sort of
Mm.
thing, and it balances things quite well. So, um, yeah, I think it's funny how we talk about all these people in the sort of, especially in the horror franchise. You hear like Wes Cravens and John
Mm.
Carpenter. I mean, they're big boys. But like, yeah, Don Mancini doesn't really seem to get the praise. I think he should.
Mm. Mm. Do you think it's because he's only ever done this, really? And there's such big gaps at times, isn't there, between them? And they're all kind of middling to low success, aren't they? Whether, for artistic merit or not. Like in terms of none of them really ever set the box office alight, did they? So he's
No,
just sort of bubbling. I'm loath to use the term like B-list or anything like that, but he's just sort of that.
he's kind
He's
of just
just
found his niche.
yeah, that's a much nicer way to put it, and I think that's what I was aiming for, because I don't think he's any. I think actually the direction of this movie is very strong.
Yeah.
I think lots of choices he makes here are really well suited to the type of story that he's telling. I think he really understands what he's doing with the play of the genres here. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's almost like he could have been Sam Raimi if things had gone a bit different, I think.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Like there's ideas here and stuff that
Mm.
and even in the writing, because he
Mm.
wrote
Mhm.
that consistency of sort of production across all of it. Yeah, like you say, if someone had given the chance and gone, cool, I've seen what you can do. Here's another franchise, or here's
Yeah.
another film. Go at it. Yeah, I always think like it's a like you say a what if. What if Tom
Mm.
Hanks?
Mhm.
But then if it have had that, would he have then continued with Chucky? But yeah, it's almost like a missed opportunity, because you're right. I mean, yeah, the direction on this is, there's not really, not slouch, is it? It's kind of
No, no, no. I think
it's
there's really interesting
consistent.
choices, and it's it's using symbolism in its shots.
Mm,
That's where that expression, where you see Nika between the bars of the banisters. We've got split diopter in this, so throw me a split diopter, I am happy. In fact, we get
yeah,
several in this movie. So,
yeah.
now we're in department territory, and you're talking about murder mysteries and thrillers, and yeah, I think he's. I always think of I think of Kevin Smith, and I think of M. Night Shyamalan, and I maybe put Mancini in this kind of bracket where, when I've heard them talk about their careers, how they, we're writers, and we start off as
Mm,
writers, and then we evolve and we become writer directors, and then we become directors who write for ourselves. And you can kind of see that evolution here of Mancini as well. Like this is perfectly well written next to all the other stuff that he's written, but it's
mm.
definitely a step up, I think, in terms of direction.
Oh yeah, no, I think yeah, it's one of those. You say, the split optics and that sort of thing. I think
Mm.
he is leaning on Um, he's not just gone, oh, I can do this and jumped on
Mm,
it. There's so much here that I look back and go, oh, that's a shot I remember from um uh the first Chucky film, like
mhm,
Child's Play.
mhm.
Or um and there's a shot, that's got optics, or even from the first Child's Play. Like, there's clearly like he's been on sets, he's seen these directors
Mm,
work and gone like, oh, I like that. That's become like a Child's Play trope almost. Like
mm,
that's the sort of thing, we're going to keep with that. So yeah, I love the fact he is clearly learned and he's applying it and he applies
mm,
it well. I mean,
mm.
this was a straight to video release.
Yeah,
Um,
I guess
but
that's after the take, the less than expected success of Seed.
yes, yeah. And I can imagine there being conversations where they're like, well, we don't want that again.
Right, yeah.
Is shithead coming back?
Right, yeah.
How are you gonna manage that? And how are we gonna manage Tiffany? And what you're left with at the end of Seed is insanely complex. It's now Tiffany's in the body of
Hmm.
Jennifer Tilly with two children, which with the split personalities of the offspring of Chucky and Tiffany.
Mm.
One of them is a very sweet young boy, and the other one seems to be a psychotic young girl. Okay, cool. Like, how is that going to play out? Like, how does that work? Like, we'll get more of that. But yeah, I know, play it down, play it down. So
Mm.
this feels like almost like not a reboot, but it kind of feels like it's a recalibration of
Yeah,
we're going back to the earlier sort of slasher
bit more
kind
back to
of ideas.
basics.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm.
Um, this idea of the family, though, I want to sort of, because it obviously is
Mm.
based around this family. Um, it kind of throws it. And I've watched this film a couple of times, and it tricked me. It's probably been a little while, but it tricked me this time again. That
Hmm.
you do, because I thought you go, oh, this is a straightforward family dynamic, and you've got the um the struggle. You've got Nika as she's now isolated in this house, and they're all coming
Hmm.
together, and you get her sister and the sister's husband, but they're having a struggling, rocky relationship. He's lost his job, and they're struggling for money. But you've got the loving or the loved daughter, and then the nanny,
Hmm.
and you go, oh, I
Yeah.
know where this is going. Um, and it does kind of throw things in. It flips it a bit on
Hmm.
its head. It turns out, the wife. I have a problem with this actually, and this is something I want to sort of play
Mm.
out. Is there is a kind of trope, a cliche, and I don't think it's a healthy cliche of like in this scenario, it's like, oh, he's lost his job, he's he's working at Starbucks, but um, the wife always comes across as the shrew.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
And they've played it, and she's obviously been told to play it as like nagging and
Mm.
almost shrewish. But the fact of the matter is, like, she's not entirely wrong. Um, and so I kind of sort of I watch it and instinctively I'm like, oh, I don't like Barb. She's a bitch. Like she's the domineering pattern, and she
Mm.
is horrible to Nika at times. Like she's
Mm.
clearly after the money. But like when I see the dynamic between her and the husband, there are times I'm just like, yeah, you want me to be sympathetic to the husband, but you know I don't know. It felt weird in this scenario because
Hmm.
Barb is mean to Nika and is kind of overbearing to the daughter. Um, but still, I could see why those stresses are there because of the husband.
Yeah, she's holding everything together, and
Yeah.
yeah, she's not. She's a really poorly written character. I think she's the weakest character.
Yes.
I mean, Jill is not a character. The au pair,
No.
the
She's a
nanny.
body. She's literally there to be a body.
Yeah, exactly. But like perfectly cast, like kind of
Mm-mm.
Denise Richards, but 10 years later. Um, like perfectly cast for the role she's supposed to be playing.
Yes.
You sort of walks on screen, you're like, oh, okay, I know what's happening here.
Yeah.
All laid out for you. Oh, I get it.
You might as well be wearing a red shirt at
Yeah,
this point.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found Barbara real struggle. And I think for exactly the same reasons you just laid out. So she's really unlikable. And the actress is not a very strong actress, but that kind of goes for everybody in this movie other
Hmm.
than um, Fiona Dourif, to be honest. She's great, but everybody else is pretty director-rental acting.
Yeah.
Um, but she's done no favors with the character she's presented, because I don't think her the twist really, oh God, I'm all over the place. Sorry. The
No,
twist,
go for it.
I'll get there eventually. The twist really works. I've seen this once before, a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, I totally forgot on that. That's actually pretty funny. That's pretty clever. In terms of who and who isn't pursuing the nanny and the au pair, and who's having the relationship. And I think that's quite good fun. And I think that is when it's tropey and titillation, but knowingly so, and knowing who Don Mancini is and his own
Yeah.
lifestyle and what he has done to, you know, push things forwards in his own way within the genre, I think really works. But yeah, the character just doesn't. You can't. She either needs to be full like Wicked Witch or like full evil stepsister. I know she's actual sister, but like full evil stepsister. She needs to be like really pushed one way or be the opposite of like the just really worn out by life and
yeah, that I would accept. Kind of just frustrated of like, look,
yeah.
I've been trapped in a situation. Like I'm doing this. Like, and when Nika calls her out, like you should always be sympathetic for Barb, being like, look, I
Agreed.
know
Yeah.
I'm asking you to leave, but like I've got no other recourse. Like this is the only thing I've got.
Yeah,
Because
I
of the
can't be here for you. I've got a daughter, and I know you
yeah.
can't see it right now, but it is actually what's best for you as well. And
Mm.
yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Because because of the way, like I say, she's performed and the direction she's given, and as I said, the way they've written her, when the twist comes, and
Hmm.
not spoilers and everything, we're going to get into it, but the twist is that she's the one that's with the nanny
Yeah.
in this relationship rather than the husband, as it's kind of like framed and set up a few times. You think that's what's
Yeah.
going to be the case, but no, it's those two. But there is a part you go, as you say, oh, that's quite fun. That's a fun little twist in on the the cliche. But then I constantly ask, well, why is the nanny with her? Because she's
Mm.
fucking awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
Um, and that kind of more solidifies the fact she's a red shirt. And you go, oh, it doesn't matter why you're attracted to this woman. You're just here to die. So,
Mm.
um, but that family dynamic again
Mm.
kind of feels like there could be more. Um,
Yeah, it feels very done, and it feels because of what gets revealed to us later in the flashback, which I can't wait to talk about that because I think that's great. I think there was just real opportunity for some meat there. This idea of
mhm.
like perhaps Barb felt like Nick had always been the favored child because of her situation, and as we'll talk, because of being in the wheelchair and being um, I don't know what are we allowed to say disabled? I'm not sure, but she is
Yeah,
disabled.
no, she is. Yeah,
But
she's
I don't know what the current politically correct
well. I
term
mean,
is, but
to give it the full scientific, her spine is severed before
hmm
birth, and
hmm
she actually says she's basically just paralyzed below the waist, like
yeah.
she has no sensation below the waist. Um, so yeah,
So
she's
yeah,
paralyzed. So
yeah. So if we'd
yeah.
had Barb like, I've got sympathy for your situation, but it's meant you've got everything, and I've always had to fight for everything, and this is why I'm a success in business. Like again, that's kind of a bit of a character at least,
Mm,
but she just comes across as bitchy, as you said. It's very surface. There's nothing to it, and I don't buy that. I brought that to the table, and I'm sure you were thinking it too. Like a viewer might bring that to the table, but it's not offered to you by the movie.
no, I like what you're saying about this. There could be like a resentful
Mm,
sibling dynamic between them,
mm,
and that would actually make this really interesting to be like, yes, when we get to the flashback, you find out like these events happen, which made you kind of like the mother was guilty almost, and so sort of favored Nika, and sort of like
mm,
so Barb was kind of they got to a point where Barb was clearly the favorite. She was the firstborn, and she's very sort of well looked after and well fed before as a child. Like that's and there's some funny jokes around that, but um yeah, then Nika comes along and the dynamics change, and for the rest of her life, she's been kind of always in the shadow of this second child and
yeah.
stuff like. So you could play with that
Hmm.
in that sense and stuff. And I think like yeah, but it's not. This is where I think like I say some of it's well done and some of it's not so much. Like that Mancini's sort of just lining things up to fulfill um the flashback at the
Mm,
end.
yeah.
But yeah, there could have been so much more of this sibling rivalry or this sibling resentment. Um, um, It's
And
the
I
same
think,
with.
sorry,
No, go
no,
on.
go on.
No, go
I
on.
was going to say, I think like at times I felt like there's an overabundance of characters as well. Like, I'm not sure why we need the priest character, the father character. I don't know
Oh,
what he brings, but cut
th-
him
th-
out, lose his screen time. Although his death's cool, but cut
yeah.
him out and lose the screen time,
Well,
and then we have a bit more time for this dynamic between them. I think.
I think it's this is kind of the nature of or the need of this kind of film, isn't it? Because it is a slasher film. I mean, this
Yeah.
isn't a gruesome, over the top slasher film that we've had, but the priest is there, like let's call him a he's another red shirt for all intent and purposes.
Oh,
Like he's there
100%.
literally to
Yeah.
be a body. Um, and there's kind of like there's elements to the priest that they had sort of elements to the priest. Like he says, I can't drink. He's clearly had problems with
Mm,
alcohol. He refuses the wine, says he's just got water, and says I'm good, thank you. And then later on, when he has the car accident, you find out that he's the sponsor to
mm.
somebody else. And you go, oh, okay, so what the fuck has that got to do with anything?
Right. Yeah. Quite. Yeah. He's got a backstory, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's kind of weird with the information, but like I almost think the way I see the setup
Mm.
in this thing, is almost like an inspector calls
Oh yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. I was like, oh, we're gonna have all the family and all these people here, or almost like Cluedo,
Hmm.
kind of idea. You got all these people, and but we as a viewer, we know it's Chucky.
Yeah. But
Instant,
they
because
all
Chuck,
suspect each other.
but there should be, yeah, and there should be
Yeah.
so much more of that kind of um blame game and
Mm.
family politics and the dynamics of you know this
Mm.
person's now died and stuff. And I think like, oh, I'm kind of disappointed we don't get that.
Mm.
The priest leaving, taking him out the picture and dying in a car crash is such a bad idea. Like having a priest die in their house
Mm.
and then having the adults going like, what do we do now?
Yeah, the scene before that is so good as well, and it's such an anticlimactic way to end what is a really strong scene. So we see Chucky putting the rat poison, don't we, in
Mm.
the what looks like the most bland, boring chili dinner ever made, and they're all absolutely
Mm,
loving this dinner. Yeah,
this chili is so
it's
hearty.
it's like a tin of
Really?
tomatoes with some
Yeah.
red kidney beans in it. But yeah, so we we're not sure who's it's such a fun scene. We're not sure. It's kind of like The Thing or something, or like Final Destination.
Yes.
It's like the camera's spinning around. We get this gross shot of everyone eating, all their mouths masticating.
Yeah.
It's such good fun. And I was so bought in and I was really enjoying that scene. And then he gets the sweats on. He's like, right, I'm off then. It's so
Yeah.
anticlimactic.
Well, it's even and it's because it plays it up like he almost. Like you say, I love that scene. You're right. It goes on all the mouths and stuff. It's kind of
Mm,
gross, and then it kind of suggests or wants you to think that Alice, the
yes.
daughter,
Yeah.
and she's like, "This tastes funny. I think you put too much,
I know
oregano,
what you're doing. You're
oregano.
thinking about how to say it because
Yeah,
oregano.
oregano.
I
Yeah,
can never remember which way is the UK way.
oregano for the American audience. Um, and you are thinking like, it's not going to go there. It's not going
Mm,
to start with the youngest being killed first. They can't do that, and they don't.
mhm.
But yeah, but by taking the priest out, like you say, he gets the sweats, and then he's like, "Oh, I've got to go." They don't even play it for humor. There's the
No.
whole like it could be like he's got like his stomach could be rumbling, and he could be like, "Oh, I've got to go," and you're like, "Oh, he's gonna shit
Mm,
himself." They don't even play for any humor. He just sort of says, I'm so sorry. I don't intend to be rude. I've got to go." And then that's kind of it.
yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. It's not, as you said, if we'd had him collapsing on the way, now everyone's suspicious. I think that would have worked really, really well. There's a movie called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies that came out a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
Don't know if you saw that, bunch of teenagers in a kind of like party house, and that has that sense of like they all start suspecting each other because they don't know who could be responsible for doing this because it's just them in this isolated area. So who could possibly be doing these things to us? So that would have worked great here, particularly with this difficult, troubled family dynamic. It would have really brought some kind of depth and ultimately pathos to the movie, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'd have it. Like, I'd think I'd have gone. Yeah, like really into. I mean, granted, this only has a budget of 5 million, so
Yeah.
you there are certain things you can't do. But like, yeah, have the priest die. Being sick or whatever, everyone being like, "Oh my God, Nika made dinner. Nika's tried to poison us."
Mm.
But then the storm comes in. So
Right.
something
He can't
happens, so
leave.
they can't
Mm.
leave. I mean, yeah, circumstances, prevail that allow to prevent them from leaving, and or for some reason they can't call anyone.
Hmm.
This was obviously easier before mobile phones, but something happens where it prevents them from sort of contacting the outside world and isolates them,
Mm.
and then yeah, they're trapped in a building with Chucky, secretly killing them all off.
Yeah.
Um, and have it so it's accidents, like you say that because the nanny gets electrocuted and
Mm.
things like that, like almost like Tucker and Dale
Oh
level of
yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Chucky's the one that's sort of manipulating around the whole thing. That'd have been brilliant. I think,
Mm.
raise those tensions until um you almost have it that Barb and Nika are literally at each other's throats at the end of it, and Chucky's the one watching on or something. I think,
Yeah. That would have been great, and I think would have made. I'm not sure I buy in this film after what we've already had. It, the whole back to the whole Toy Story thing. Like I'm not
Mm,
sure why Chucky needs to be pretending to be a doll, really, other than let's get it back to what the original concept was. I think if he's doing that in order to manipulate everybody, to get it down to kind of the final two, and he's going to pick which daughter is the one he's going to,
mm.
then I think that again, that would have made much more sense of that. I found that a little bit difficult to wrap my head around this time about like why he would need to do that.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Well, because again, like, the whole thing in Seed,
Hmm.
he sort of says, actually, why am I looking to find a new body?
Mm.
I'm Chucky the Killer Doll. I'm amazing. Like this is awesome. And there's kind of that acceptance of it. But yeah, we're back to him, like you say, doing the Toy Story thing of like, oh, Andy's here and going um doll face. Um I do like it because I think it works in that it's fooling a child, and it
Yeah.
just it makes him sort of, it never makes him a suspect until we
Mm.
know he
Hmm.
is. But I think because of the viewer, we going through this, and you're like, yeah, I've seen this. I know this is like the.
Mm.
I'm never entirely sure though on that concept. I'm never entirely sure if he's known or not in the wider world. So
Yeah.
there's always this
Yeah.
thing of like the good guy dolls are always kind of remembered, but Seed of Chucky opens with them making a film about the
Mm.
legend of Chucky the Killer Doll. And so it's like, is he now like an urban legend? Because
Mm.
the priest sort of says, "Oh, I remember seeing something about police reports," and I'm like, and I did think, I was like, surely at this point there'd be like almost like a Candyman, Bloody Mary kind of
Yeah.
um, urban legend about the good guy doll that was possessed by the serial killer and killed all the people. Like, um, it sounds like the kind of thing that teens would do.
For
Teens would
sure.
talk about.
Mm.
But yeah, um, let's 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 talk about the killings are all kind of fun.
Yeah. I think they're
Um,
good. Yeah.
but before we get to the flashback, I want to talk about the reveal of Chucky, like
Hmm.
being Chucky. So because throughout the start of the film we see him as just a doll, which is clearly just a doll on set.
Yeah. I couldn't work out whether, because like you said, it's a low budget, isn't it? Also, I
Yeah,
think they've gone to digital here, haven't they, from film? And that kind of, it feels very this era digital. It looks cheap, unfortunately, at times.
it looks
Um,
very flat at times, doesn't it?
it does, yeah. And the kind of, I couldn't work out whether it was budget restraints or that it was to be in keeping with the movie because the quality of the Chucky doll for that first half, for that first 45 minutes, does look very,
They bought it from a like a
yeah,
literally like a toy shop. They're like, oh,
it does, doesn't it?
we've just bought an off the shelf good guy
Yeah.
doll from Hot Topic, and now we're gonna use it in the film.
Once he's revealed and we get all the animation from the puppeteers and the scars
Mm.
come back, then it looks absolutely great. But that first half, I was a bit like, oh, is this a choice or is this just all they can afford? I'm not sure if you know any better, like where that falls on that line.
I think it's a budget restraint thing
Mm,
where they have said like this is only going to be needed predominantly. It's like it's needed in the background, or
mm,
Alice is carrying it. Don't worry about it too much. Um, Do you think though that this suffers from one of the things that I feel that a lot of them have suffered from is the transition of like when it is a doll,
Mm.
it looks like a doll. It's a bit like when you watch a Hanna-Barbera cartoon
Hmm.
and they'll be like, you'll watch Scooby-Doo and you'll be like, they'll be like, oh, which door is it behind? And you'll be like, well, it's clearly that one
Yeah.
because it's animated differently. Like all the
Yeah.
others look that one and that one's bright brown or
That's
it's like
background, that one.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
background and
absolutely.
that one's
Yeah.
not. And you can tell. I kind of feel like with Chucky, it's kind of, when he's a doll, it's clearly a doll.
Mm.
And then you get the Hanna-Barbera moment when you know it's going to be animated because all of a sudden it looks
Mm.
different. And the first one, it's so obvious in that first film, but limitations, it's 1988. Um, but with this one, I feel like Chucky looks slightly different. Like, I don't
Hmm.
know. But do you feel that transition, or do you think because they've gone a little bit digital and they've got they have got the animatronics and stuff, but do you feel that let's call it the Hanna-Barbera transition, or are
Mm.
you?
It wasn't something that I picked up on watching it, to be honest. I guess I'm bought into the idea of the plasticky look of him when he's trying to look that way. And then,
Mm.
for instance, when they're in is it called a birdcage elevator? I think I looked up. So when they're in
Hmm.
the elevator, when Nika's in there with him, and at first he's facing away from her, and then his head's turned facing back. I think what is clever about it is that, and I guess this is true of all the way through, is that you yourself put on an expression onto that Chucky doll. So when that head
Yeah.
is facing back at Nika in the lift, my head is telling me he's got a smirk.
Yes.
Now, I don't actually know if they've got a new doll that's got a bit of a smirk or whether it's actually just the same one and it's my interpretation of the scene. So I think actually I'm kind of bought in on that. And I didn't notice it, no, because I want to be taken along on this journey with Chucky, and I'm waiting for the wisecracks and the animatronic face and
Mm.
yeah, it didn't bother me actually, no.
That's interesting. Yeah, because it doesn't. I think because I've been watching these, and I'm quite, I like this franchise. I think
Mm.
I'm happy. It's one of those things you go, no, I'm happy for it to happen in that way. I'm kind of comfortable with the transition
Yeah.
happening that way. But sometimes it does stand out more than others.
When
Um,
it cuts to obviously CGI Chucky, then particularly here with the budget, that becomes much more problematic, I think.
yes, especially when he's in
Yeah.
the background and you're like, oh, that's clearly not there.
Yeah.
Um, but no, when it's the animatronics, again, the face on these things,
Mm.
I don't think they've ever missed a trick. Like they seem to have just got it down. Like this is how we animate a Chucky doll. Um,
Yeah, I'd agree.
and when he's sort of got his head down and he's looking up through his brows and he's looking all evil and he's doing those things. Like it looks great.
It's
Um,
got like a 90s teen heartthrob haircut.
yeah,
Or something. It's got like James Vanderbeek in Dawson's
yes.
Creek or something. It's got kind of a new style. I like it. It
I,
really
I was,
works for that moment you're talking about.
yeah, I agree actually because he's got like the normal ginger flop of hair as the doll.
Yeah.
But then when he transitions to being Chucky, yes, it's kind of like a um yeah like a rock, a 90s sort of rock kind of
Yeah.
do and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Um and the other reveal of Chucky, which I think is interesting, is obviously because the Chucky we're introduced to is full face. He
Mm.
has,
Hmm.
he's cleaned himself up since Bride and Seed, but then it is revealed by Barb. She sees that sort of he's sat on a shelf in the attic at some point when they're playing hide and seek. That the plastic or there's some damage on his lip and stuff, and she
Mm.
starts to pull that away and reveals like the stitching underneath that, and then she pulls back some more, and that's when Chucky goes sort of nuts at her,
Mm.
and then pulls off the rest and reveals the sort of the scarring around his eyes and that. Um, and again, I was like, oh, cool. So we've kind of got both. Um, so I like that as well.
And I
Um,
guess that also helps to, yeah, I think it's a really cool, I love that scene. I agree with you. And it also helps to explain perhaps why he has that plasticky look now, thinking about it, because he has this kind of surface sheen. He has this kind of very fake repair over the top. So maybe that kind of answers that question
he's
as we're
had like a
talking.
he's had like a literal facelift. Like they've
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um, but yeah, it seems like they've kept that design, and this is
Mm. I get it because it's definitely the coolest design.
Yeah, I think this is the last time you will see this
Hmm.
scarred up design as part of the main Chucky doll, which
Yeah.
you get to understand more in the next film. Um, but it looks good to have him, then stalking around the house and doing the bits and pieces.
Hmm.
Um, so I like the end of this film. The last sort of 30 minutes of this film, um,
Yeah.
are actually really good fun. Stamps Barb in the eye, and plucks out her eyeball, and then
The bouncer down the stairs is
yeah,
really good.
yeah,
That's a very like kind of Sam Raimi. That's Evil Dead style stuff, isn't it? And it hits Nika in the face and
yeah,
not quite in
yeah.
the mouth like an Evil Dead, but pretty close.
No, but it feels like a nod, doesn't it, to like
Definitely.
Rome, and then later, well, then Chucky treads on it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, all the sort of the deaths and the sort of, I think the killing in the last sort of third of the film
Yeah.
work. Um, but it kind of culminates in this scene where we have a confrontation between Chucky and Nika,
Hmm.
and this is where we get to the flashback.
Mm. Before we do
Um,
that, I do like the setup because I think I, I was kind of questioning as I was watching last night for the second time, like, is this progressive in its depiction of Nika? I think it is in many ways, but then the kind of the trope of like stabbing her in the leg and all that kind of stuff and not feeling it feels a bit on
mm,
the nose. But I think it really works in terms of those criticisms you can have, and I've heard you talk about in the other episodes of like, it's a 3 foot doll, just kick it and run away. Well, that doesn't work here because at this point in the story, Nika is out of her chair. She's gone upstairs, pulled herself up the stairs to try and warn
mm.
Barb, hasn't she? So I think that setup here actually really works really, really well. So, of course, it's important for the flashback and for this kind of the arc of the story. But I think actually, in terms of the setup of the final girl, a final girl versus Chucky, I think it's clever. I think it's well thought out, actually.
Yeah, no, I do think it, and it all culminates in this kind of the reasoning behind it as well.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
um, her paralysis isn't like random. Like, this isn't
mm,
like, oh, at some point she was in a car accident or whatever. Like, no, when you get the reveal, it's like this has gone full circle.
mm,
Um, and that is kind of fun. I think that's
mm.
kind of the fun part of it. Um, so yeah, no, that's a really good point. I would say this progression as we get to the next one because it is Nika that appears in the next film.
Hmm.
Um, it's been a while. I'll be interested to see if it's treated as not as carefully or as sort of like in a similar way, or is it more of a well, we've gone past that now. Now we can have her doing wheelies down a corridor or something like
Right. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the bit more of the silliness. I can't remember. Um, but this setup, this
Mm.
you've watched along, haven't you? So you've seen
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Child's Play and stuff.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have seen the franchise.
Yeah.
I did the franchise a couple of years ago. So when
Mm.
you and I've dipped in, I've watched those ones again. I will probably watch Cult again when you get to that because I can't. Same as you, I can't really remember it very well, and I remember liking it actually.
Yeah, it is. I think it's been quite a good one. But yeah. So what we find out is that she's figured out, having done the Google search
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
of the good guy dolls, and everything. She finds out about Andy Bartley and Charles Lee Ray and all
Mm.
this other stuff. Um, and we are going to get a list of the names of the families that have all been hurt by this. The Barclays, the Kincaids, the Tillys, which I
Hmm.
thought was kind of cool. Um, but it turns out that basically, yeah, we go back to Nika's mum and dad living in an apartment in Chicago in the winter of 1988. Before that, the summer before, they meet a younger Brad Dourif
Mm.
playing a younger version of himself, which works well and badly from scene to scene, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, de-aging technology of 2013 in a $5 million film, not great.
No. Just keep the camera further back, guys. Just yeah, pull it
Yeah,
back a
well,
little bit more. Pull it back a little bit more. Yeah, can't see the
it,
wrinkles anymore.
yeah, it has a little bit of Steve Buscemi in a
Ah.
in a backwards baseball hat. Um, but mostly I buy it again. I buy into it. I'm
Yeah,
there enough to go,
absolutely.
I'm buying into this. But the idea is that they lived in the same apartment as Charles Lee Ray, or the same apartment complex, and he got an obsession with Sarah,
Mhm.
killed the father, and then kidnapped the mother while she was pregnant, and was planning on sort of kidnapping Barb as well, so they could be a family all together. And then in an altercation in which he called the police, um, he loses his temper. She gets stabbed in the stomach, which um, is what causes
Mm.
Nika's paralysis. And then he doing a runner, and it turns out that him running away from that is leading into the start of the first film.
Mm.
And you go, cool.
Mm.
I like that.
All
That's a nice
works.
little,
Yeah.
yeah,
And tastefully done as well. You know, that the stabbing of Sarah is a horrific thing, and we all know what is happening. But actually, Mancini makes the right choice here to cut away and not show us anything. There's some pretty gory stuff with the eyes and the priest's
yes,
head when it comes off, but I think this was a wise choice by him.
yeah. This is different. This is a more sort of personal choice. It is not to be gratuitous. I don't think
Mm.
I think it
Hmm.
makes complete sense. I do have some questions about this though,
Mm.
because I know
Please.
we've said how good the continuity has been in these films, or at least how consistent it's tried to be. So what we find in the first film is that his friend Eddie Caputo, was there with him when he's running
Mm.
away from the police. I'm not asking for everything to be explained, so but in my head I can go in my head canon. That's fine. You know, when he tries to escape from the police, he may have called Eddie, or this,
Mhm.
he's tried to hide at Eddie's or whatever, and that's resulted in the sort of the scenes that we then get at the start of the first Child's Play film. Fine, but there's no mention of Tiffany,
Mm. Mm.
and that feels a little bit egregious in the sense of like, because within Bride, what we've learned is that she was besotted with him in '88,
Mm.
and if anything, she was actually looking for him in 1988, and that's where she found the ring on the night of his murder, or not the night of his killing. She found the ring, um, that he'd killed a woman called Vivian Van Pelt and stolen this ring, and she assumed it was the engagement ring he was going to give her. So
Mm.
how does, because we're going to meet Tiffany still here, she will appear in one of the sort of the post-credit scenes. So how does that square in
Yeah.
that? And again, even if it's a throwaway line or something of like, I've seen you with, that
Mm.
other woman, I've seen you with that bottle blonde or whatever, something, just so we can go, oh, there's an acknowledgement of Tiffany at this point.
Yeah. I agree because I think that is one of the problematic scenes at the end in terms of where my head was. I think this film has a really good ending, and then we get these three kind of almost stingers, like postscript endings, like
Mm.
add-ons. One of them being Tiffany, which helps to explain the start of the movie. But my brain was then going, "Oh, okay, but that doesn't make any sense because even if that is right, she wouldn't help him do this because she would have been jealous of Sarah." So
Yes,
I couldn't quite get all the pieces of the puzzle to fit together in my head either. I agree with you.
yeah. There's almost like there's I've always said, like, I don't need every
Hmm.
jigsaw piece filled in. But there's clearly like a piece between the end of Seed and the start of Curse that you kind of need to explain.
Yeah.
Because at the end of Seed, Tiffany's broken away from him. She's now sort of in the body of Jennifer Tilly. She's raising her two children. And Chucky sends his own arm in the post to a family and um, attacks one of the boy, the nice boy. I forget his name, what
Hmm.
they're called now. Um, so okay, well, what's happened from
Hmm.
that point to get to this point? I need to understand. I want to, I just want to try and understand that.
So I guess she made the same presumption that it was Tiffany that sent him in the box at the
Yes,
start of the
absolutely.
movie.
That's
Yeah.
that's yeah.
They never
Well,
really say that, but because we see her doing it later, I guess we are left to make that presumption, aren't we?
yeah, and it's the only way it makes sense because he sort of,
Mm.
despite the fact he managed to send himself in the post in three,
Mm.
I've never been able to make that make sense. Because, well, how do you close the
Yeah.
box and seal it? Like that doesn't work. So yeah, Tiffany has to do it, and we'll see that she does it at the end of this one as well.
Mm.
Um, So yeah, it's kind of like they said that there's all this. Considering how well all this has
Mm,
worked, yes, there are things as I said I would have done differently to just raise the tension or adjust the dynamics. It's not that I haven't enjoyed this. I actually quite
mm,
enjoy this film.
mm.
Um, but yeah, as it gets to the end, it's kind of carrying so much lore in order to do this thing. I'm just like, come on, this should have been neater. Like you've had
Yeah.
not 9 years at this point to pull this together. Um,
And I
yeah.
think, when you talk about these things, I think, you're often a great proponent of the drop line. And I think it's such a powerful tool when you use it correctly.
Mm.
It doesn't need to be a focal point in the movie. As you said, we don't need, reams and reams and reams of exposition. Just,
It's an acknowledgement. It's
I
that thing of
remember that
going,
bitch.
yeah, that's it. Like, oh, yeah, like I've seen that. Yeah, what's that
Yeah.
bottle blonde? Oh, yeah, she's nothing serious or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
it's just that sort of throwing an acknowledgement of like, well, we know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, we know about it too.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That kind of thing.
The people who are watching us at this point are Chucky fans. Let's be honest. If
Yeah,
you're watching the 5 million director rental
yeah,
latest Chucky release, you know the franchise. You're here because you like this character and you want to see what they've chosen to do next. You're probably not a casual first time fan coming in and watching this.
no,
There's not gonna be many of those, I wouldn't have thought.
no, no. I remember buying this. I bought this in, I think it was a Sainsbury's in the day, like the DVD.
Great.
And it's one of those like, yeah, it was like quite cheap. It was I remember buying
Mm.
it when it sort of first came out and thinking the same thing of like there aren't many people buying this
I've got my
DVD.
pasta, I've got my Weetabix.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, the latest Chucky
got
release.
to pick up the latest Chucky release. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is a kind of like you're going, yeah, well, like you say, this is like the seventh installment or whatever. Like we are quite deep into this right now.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, so it's a shame that there are some holes at
Mm.
the end
Mhm.
and it's gonna kind of try and introduce some more. So at the end of the film, they have this confrontation. They've had this sort of discussion, and then the police once again. It's going to be that repeat of history.
Mm.
Mother like daughter. She's managed to call the police, or the police are turning up, and unfortunately, it isn't to save her in this case from Charles Lee Ray. Chucky will hide it in a chair in doll mode,
Mm.
and Nika will be held responsible for the murders that have all happened overnight in this house. And she will get sent. She'll go to. We see her go to court with all the. I like the fact that they have all the evidence and it shows like the rat
Mm.
poison, the axe, and then Chucky, um, and she is committed to an asylum because even as they're wheeling her out, she's shouting at the Chucky doll.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Um, so
You
yeah,
didn't
so
get me, you didn't kill me. Yeah.
yeah,
Brilliant
it's
performance. I love it.
it is good. Is it weird that they hired Brad Dourif's daughter to play Nika and not have him be her daughter? I thought that was going to be. I had this
Right.
weird
Oh,
thing
I
in my
see.
head that
Yeah,
like it would
yeah.
be revealed that actually Charles
Mm.
Ray was her father.
Yeah, I guess that no, I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, I was, when I first watched it, I was thinking, oh, another bloody Nepo baby. But then she's really good, so you think, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah,
If you're a Nepo baby, but you're actually good, all right, we'll let it hide. No, yeah, I hadn't even thought, I hadn't even put two and two together. You're right, that could have been another little twist, couldn't it?
yeah, that'd been interesting. Yeah, she goes away. Nika's been committed to an institution. Um, and then we're going to get like you say, a series of endings
Mm.
that I'm not sure how I feel about.
No, I guess we'll talk about each one, and well, we've sort of done
Mm,
Tiffany, haven't we? I just think it's a shame because the actual ending of Nika being committed and the way that she's performing and the patience that Chucky's got to just sit there for God knows how many hours and days and weeks on
mm.
end, pretending to be a doll, is a really, I mean, is this the first time Chucky's quote unquote won?
Yes, yeah, it
I mean,
is.
I guess that's kind of how I read that ending is that Chucky
Yeah.
kind of got what he wanted. He can now, whatever his motivation is, he's sort of moved that out of the way. Um, he doesn't get killed or dismembered, or I think that's good. I really like that as an ending.
Mm.
And then it feels like these next bits are, as you said, oh, but we can stick this in and it can be fun and it's canon but it's sort of they're all a bit of a damp squib compared to the actual ending, which I think is of note is quality.
It almost feels like if you'd have left it like this, because basically throughout it, in the court case, you see that there's this police officer watching
Mm,
the evidence of Chucky, and then he's the one that sort of grabs it from the evidence locker, and we have a bit of a moment from Bride of Chucky where he's in the police car, bring me the money and all this other stuff, and
mm.
Tiffany pops out in the body of Jennifer Tilly and slits his throat, and it's all,
They never learn.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is good. And again, like
Yeah.
it's just little things like that where we're going like we remember those as well.
Yeah.
Nice little throwback. And then she's going to post it. Oh, I like this scene. I think Jennifer Tilly has got great comedic timing. She manages to balance these things really well. So when she's sort of the post woman's asking her the questions, and she's asking this, is it animal, mineral, or vegetable? She's
Yeah.
like, the other.
It's almost kind of innuendo, isn't it? But it's that
Yeah.
that kind of joke, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the great one is the sort of like, do you want this sort of insurance? It guarantees the sender and receiver. And she's like, it really doesn't, or
Yeah.
I doubt that. So she's very good.
Agreed. Yeah.
And so
And that's where Barb is. Barb is almost a kind of character replacement, but doesn't hold a candle to Jennifer Tilly and her performance of Tiffany.
no, absolutely not. No, I think so it's nice to see her. I think she's funny, and I enjoy
Yeah.
sort of her presence. But you realise that she is posting Chucky out. So you get to see her, but that's where I'm going. Well, how's this agreement come about? Because she even says, like, she opens up the box and says, "Who's next?" To Chucky. So they've got an arrangement. This is clearly something they've come to, they've made up, and they've got an arrangement. And Chucky gets sent to see Alice again, who's now living with her grandmother on her father's side. Chucky kills the grandmother, and then the scene ends. Well, the scene ends with a jump scare, but the scene ends with Chucky doing the Ardui Dembala to Alice. But I don't know why.
Yeah, I guess I understand the motivation of him. If he now wants to be with Tiffany again, so he wants to get in a human body, I get that. But wouldn't he have picked one of the adults to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get the wanting to possess Alice at all.
No, it's weird. It doesn't seem to fit with anything.
No.
So something's going to happen there, but that's not even the final ending.
Yeah. You get 7-8 minutes of credits.
Yeah, I should say the final ending isn't on. I watched this on Amazon, and it's not on there. The final, the post credit scene.
Oh, really?
Isn't even on there. I had to go to YouTube. I was like, well, there is something there, and I went and found it. But yeah, it opens with the box being delivered somewhere else in the same brown package. So something's clearly happened at with Alice and the other grandma. And the box opens. Chucky bursts out the box in all good fun, and you find adult Andy Barkley stood there with a shotgun. And you go like, cool. How does this fit with what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I mean, just cut the Alice one out. But then I guess he probably felt like he needed the Alice one to make sense of why he was getting Alice to play hide and seek, because he was saving her to be. Yeah, it all just gets in a bit of a knot, doesn't it, here?
Yeah, it gets its own way. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Drop the Alice thing because it makes no sense. He's now on a revenge kick. So the Andy Barkley thing makes complete sense.
Yeah.
But I don't understand what's going on with the Alice bit. It's almost like I forget, and spoilers. Cult of Chucky is not going to deal with. It's not going to deal with.
He's decided he doesn't know what he was doing and doesn't give a shit either.
Yeah. I think if he had a George Lucas allowance, this is one of the scenes he'd be like, yeah, we don't need that. Just cut that out. Don't need that. But yeah, I think I like the fact that if we were to have it as a bit of a dropped ending or something like that, cliffhanger, in fact, I would have scrapped all those other bits, or maybe kept it and have Andy Barkley be the thing that it's there, but not have the shotgun bit, and almost have it as almost like an Empire Strikes Back moment of like, oh shit, Chucky's won, as you said, like oh wow, he's done it, like he beat Nika, he's got away with it, and now he's going to take revenge on Andy. Like,
Yeah.
I think that would have been kind of cool as a sort of a, you
And
know,
fits with, I know like Curse is to do with like the flashback, but kind of fits with the idea of, the title shows that this is the one where Chucky finally wins. Chucky finally gets,
yeah.
he's become the hero character now. So is this really what you want? Do you want this guy to win?
And if this had ever been, if this had been if this had been the last one
Mm.
made, that's kind of, I don't think that ever happens with a franchise where they're
Mm.
like, oh no, we're going to end, and the killer doll or the serial killer character
Yeah.
wins and gets away with it.
Imagine the next Scream. We've got Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox back. They're both killed, and the killer walks off into the sunset at the end. I mean, nobody's going to be
Yeah.
satisfied with that, are they? Yeah.
No, I mean, this is Hannibal Lecter sort of hanging up on
Mm.
Clarice.
Mm.
I've got
Mm.
I've got someone coming for dinner, kind of
Yeah.
thing, and that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But I think this feels a little bit like, well, we've got some money left. What more can I do? I don't know. There's a reason he chose to do these things, and I would love to know why.
Do you
But
think he felt bad for recasting for Child's Play 3, and this was the, oh, I'm going to get you back in the mix, mate?
possibly, I mean, even if he had ideas and was like, to the actor who plays Andy Barclay was just sort of like, just want to have you as a cameo. This is
Mm.
the you were the first one. I want you to be the last one.
Mm.
Like, that would be cool. Um, but yeah, um, they've always made like Andy Barclay sort of he's gone full Laurie Strode. He's gone full Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but no, I don't know. It's kind of like it's a bit of as you damp squib is a as you described it, is a good way. It's like everything's been quite good up until now. I like the
Mm.
sort of the last act of the film. I
Yeah.
like the ending with the court case,
Mhm.
and then it's just yeah, these post credits things just feel forced. They feel sort of
They do.
artificial.
And they
Um,
just feel like, as you said it to me, I'll say it back to you. They feel tacked on just for the sake of it. They don't feel like they're actually
mm,
furthering anything. I don't know, everyone used to bemoan and got sick of the MCU ones, but at least they were about building and trying to create a sense of anticipation and introduce a character or give you a clue of what's coming next. Here, it doesn't feel like it's adding anything to what's gone before, and as you've just said, it doesn't really add anything to what comes next, unfortunately.
no, yeah, at least
I
with the
know.
sort of the MCU, they kind of tease stuff. Like you say, there
Yeah.
was this, and we are in. This is 2013, so yeah, we're into sort of prime
Mm.
post credit scene shenanigans.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is, right? Because I guess what Avengers is 2012,
Yes,
so that's them eating shawarma, isn't it?
yes,
So perhaps
yeah,
this is his version of that. Like you get the one which it means something, and now here's the silly fun one.
yeah. And it's not like they were like on right off the back of this. They were like, oh, right off the back of, um, you know, Charles Curse of Chucky in 2013. We're going to go right. We're right into next year. We're going to do the like 80s style where we're going to do one a year. The next one's not until 2017.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So you got like, you got 4 years between them. So yeah, there's it could have just dropped. So it's interesting. There's some interesting sort of thing, but
Yeah.
um yeah, we are feeling the weight of the continuity starting to pull it down a little bit, I think, at the end of
It's
this.
interesting because I think we discussed in the last one. I haven't watched the Chucky
Mm.
series, but I think when you come to cover those, I will. I think I'm really interested now to see what they do because I think, as you've mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, they do still carry on
Mm.
with the continuity. So if it's only going to get more and more complicated and there's more and more balls to juggle, yeah, I'll be really interested to see how he manages to do that.
Yeah, and more's added, but like no, there's the series is where they kind of go, um, oh, like we've got 10 hours
Mm.
or 8 hours, like we can do much more stuff. Um, and they finally get to address some of the things that's going to happen in this and Curse, so
Mhm.
and Cult. Um, anyway, We should begin. Any final thoughts then on Curse of Chucky?
Well, and I think I said, at the top, really, I do think this is a strong entry in the franchise. I think, obviously the original is an important movie. We wouldn't have anything without it. I think Bride is probably for me the highlight of the whole franchise in terms of the movie franchise. Like I said, I haven't seen the series, but I've seen all the films
Mm.
now. But I think this is probably up there for me. I know you're a big fan of two, but I think this is probably better. I think for all the nitpicks we've had and the faults, I'd put this up in the top three really of the franchise. I think it's a solid entry, and I think the performance of Fiona Dourif pulls it up even more. And I think Mancini finding his stride as a director really helps to make this film sing a little bit visually as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think one of the things, despite everything I have moaned about, and I know I have, I do agree. I like this film. I think it is
Mm,
definitely in that sort of the top portion of the franchise. And I feel that because even when it's not about Chucky,
mm,
I'm enjoying the film.
mhm,
I do like some of the fact that I'm saying like I wouldn't mind more of the family dynamics. I think sort of
mhm.
tells me I'm like, yeah, no, what Don Mancini delivers in this one is interesting and an interesting concept. Um, yeah, and I think it's up there, probably in the top three for me. I mean, this would be this one sort of. I think Bride has got that kind of fun element. If you're
Mm.
really going for that. Um, but this sort of harkens back to the sort of the fun of the balance of the first film, I think. So,
Mm.
um,
I think when he
yeah,
looks back, he should take great pride in the fact that he's been able to keep reinventing this.
mm,
What it's a one note joke, really.
yeah, it shouldn't have this many entries.
No,
This,
but he's
yeah,
been able to keep doing this just enough to reinvent it and to bring it back and to keep it interesting and to try different things out, to be brave. How many people just keep making the same film over and over and over, or keep making the same style of movie over and over and over? He's brave. He'll try things out and he'll take a risk. And it didn't work for Seed, so I'll pivot and I'll try this out here, and this works. So how about this for the next entry? And then yeah, I think a lot of kudos is due Mancini for what he's done.
yeah. No, I think the only series I could put next to this for this kind of odd inventiveness and being able to sort of go off and I mean this is a continuity, a single continuity.
Mm.
But the only one I can think of is Evil Dead.
Mm, hmm.
That does, it says, right, we've got Ash, you know, the magnificent Bruce Campbell. We're going to do all this. So that we have these three films, and then we're going to have the TV series, which is going to sort of follow, but kind of follows
Mm,
the first three films, depending on which ending you take to Army of Darkness. And then, but then we're going to do an insanely gory and nutty
mm.
reboot, and then Evil Dead Rise, which again, I don't think there's a bad film in the Evil Dead franchise,
I
really. But
agree. Yeah.
yeah, well, you can just go like, yeah, we've done these. We've done an indie horror. We then redid the indie horror. Then we did a kind of high fantasy weird version, and then we pivoted off to do other things. So it's
Hmm.
yeah, I agree. I think yeah, Don Mancini. I'd love to talk to him. I'd love to sort of sit
Mm,
down and be like, I just want to run through this with like, where was your head at with each of these things? What things were you um yeah, in 2013 or 2012 when you were writing this, did you have some family problems? Was there somebody
right.
you're like, is this you venting something that was going on at the
Yeah.
time? Um, that'd be quite funny. See if it's like, yeah, my sister's a bitch. And you go, oh, well, all right, well,
Yeah. Now
that's
I
not
get it.
surprising. Yeah,
Yeah.
now we get it. Now it makes sense. Fair enough. Yeah, but no, I agree. I think this is a solid entry. And
Mhm,
I do think these sort of because they were straight to video, straight to DVD, get kind of
mm,
underappreciated. Um, yeah, but what we're going to see is we're going to go to Curse next. Cult of Chucky,
mm,
2017, and you will definitely be back for Beyond that because before I get to the TV, we're doing this in release order. We will then also do the remake,
mhm,
the reboot, which is an oddity.
mm,
In that, like no more Brad Dourif. It's Mark Hamill, and it's a slightly different, a modernized and slightly different take. But it's good, got a good cast. That thing. So we've got sort of like a bit to go really, and then the seasons we'll deal with when we get there. But for now, Jack, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you,
you
mate.
coming on. Where can everyone find you, and what are you doing at the moment?
I'm still plowing through Matthew McConaughey's filmography, but I have now
Yes.
hit the true reconnaissance. So my next episode to release is The Lincoln Lawyer, which is kind of the
Yes.
pin in the map, the pin in the timeline, really. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm about to hit a really lovely run. So if you haven't tuned in before, no, you're coming in at a good point. You've missed all the dross, you've missed all the rom-coms, you've missed the 1 star trying something out, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I'm really, really excited because the next kind of 3 months or so of
Mm.
entries are probably all going to be pretty strong. So that's going to be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, thank you. And that's Back to Filmography. Yeah, available on all your usual social medias and usual podcast sites.
Yeah, go check it out. It is fun. It is fun to listen because it is sort of I've watched some of them and sort of just some I've just listened along with, and you are like, yeah, this is an interesting career. Like it talking about reinventing himself, but
Yeah.
like as you say, you've finally got to the point where he held firm
Mm,
and you say a strong run,
mm.
and then you and I are going to talk about Dark Tower after that. So
Yeah.
it's not all plain sailing. It's not all plain
Nobody's
sailing.
perfect, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone's a winner.
No. Anyway, right. Anyway, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Jack. And ladies and
Thanks,
gentlemen,
mate.
if you, anything you want to come follow, we've got loads more going on over on Stories Out Time and Space on the main feed. Just as this is coming out, I'll be hitting, I believe, RoboCop. Our RoboCop retrospective will be starting just before our next season. So got loads of stuff coming up on there. And if you want to get ahead of the game, we're over a year ahead. Um, Go check out our Patreon. Patreon marked down below, and we are well ahead on that. We've done loads of things. Just finished it. Will be about a year from now, but you'll catch up. And we've done a King Kong retrospective. And Julian and I never ones to sort of sit idle. It would appear. Very soon we've got a new project coming up. We will be releasing the director's chair, and we're going to be starting work on the full back catalogue of Akira Kurosawa. So yeah, it's going to balance out for all the Chucky goodness. You're actually going to be getting some real discussion about Japanese cinema. So yeah, but for now, mate, Jack, appreciate your time, and ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I shall see you on the next episode.